from being an untenable situation in terms of people literally getting squeezed. I can see some of our colleagues really wincing, quite frankly. Others have fallen down deep under the crowd. There may be people who have fallen down right at the line where the police and the protesters are. That being said, the police seem to be having success in moving the crowd into this column along Cermak on the north side. This would be the north side of Cermak, and they're trying to push them, again, directly west. I am right above the crowd, about 15 feet above, and I see our colleagues from a number of stations who are down there, and others have been able to grab some of those crowd control barriers. But again, police have seized the initiative here, and right below us, Paul, if you can show right below us, there is the moment right there where you can see police are being shoved, a cameraman is being shoved, and a billy club is being brought out.
Robbie, to be clear about this, there is room for these protesters to move. There's an NBC cameraman I recognize.
Yeah,
that's right.
They could turn around and walk out Cermak. Is that correct?
These folks couldn't, but about 25, 30 people back could. But yes, you're right in the back. We're right here. It's pretty tight. But the police have opened up a tiny little laneway, and clearly they are trying to make a show of force here. The most interesting thing, frankly, at this point is that there are as many photographers as there are protesters at this point of attack. There's also somebody getting through with a bicycle. And the other thing I wanted to mention was a few moments ago when we saw the state police and the Chicago police make a show of pulling out their gas masks, a number of people in the crowd did sort of the same thing, putting on gas masks, pulling up balaclavas, and yelling shame, shame, shame at the police. So though the equipment is different, the tactics seem to be the same. And like we saw last night, there is a war of wills going on here. To which point we're not entirely sure, but at this point what we saw earlier in terms of how profound the ceremony was that most of the people had come here to attend, that moment unfortunately seems to be lost.
All right.
The politics now is all about power.
Robbie, thank you. And Jody Weiss, these are the moments that it gets a little scary for everybody. It does. It gets the crowd's a little out of control in the front, and there are people who manage to get behind police here and there. You don't know who's behind you, who's beside you. You'd like to keep that line clear on both sides. You can see what they're doing now is they've actually pulled a few people who got in behind the police out and sort of thrown them back to the other side.
You can read the lips of the cameraman from our colleagues out there down in that, and he said, "I'm trying to get out. Please help." You could read his lips. So it must be just scary for everybody involved. And he was accompanied by a reporter who was standing there too. This is really a battle for position, and that has always been the challenge for the police when demonstrations and protests take place.
Ouch. That's what we were talking about earlier. Those were barriers that were put down that some of the protesters picked up and threw back at police. That was supposed to be a line of demarcation. Once that was lost, it's getting a little difficult, and things like that will be dangerous. So you can see police will get that out of there as quickly as they can.
What is that, Jody?
That's one of the iron horses that they'll have to try. Usually they're a tremendous aid to the police in terms of keeping perimeters in place. When those are starting to be used by weapons, by protesters, that's when it's starting to get out of control. And it is a scary situation. And the police officers cannot let their line be broken. If they get people coming in behind them, then literally all hell can break loose at that point. So that's where you're seeing them being very aggressive, backed up by their officers. Everybody's watching, everybody's back, but they can't let the protesters get in behind them. And that's why you've got so many officers deep in those ranks.
Chuck, you're on we got a slight delay here with Chuck Gowdy, but Chuck, you're on the ground still near this?
Ron, yes, I can. The state police have now moved into position here. You can see that they are about to put on their gas masks as well. They've put on their riot helmets and shields. What is happening at this point is the police are attempting to move everyone to the west on Cermak, away from this intersection. They're about a block from here at State and Cermak. There is a large open field. The police originally were trying to get the black bloc individuals there near the end of the rally. They then turned around and came back the other direction, but it would appear as though that's what they're trying to do now. They're trying to move people west on Cermak in an effort to get them into that open area and away from their high-rise condo and apartment buildings here, as well as some businesses, obviously. And so they're trying to clear them away away from here. They're putting up barricades, and the state police have come in to back them up.
And tell us again,
arrests in the last few minutes, I should tell you.
Tell us again the announcements that have been made, Chuck. Everyone clearly knows it's time to leave. You're supposed to leave. You can get out of here that direction.
Ron, I'll let you listen to it. Here, it's coming over again.
Yeah, you can hear the LRAD announcement saying, everybody, attention, attention, move to the west. Let me ask you, Jody, do you believe the protesters may have been agitated when the state police kneeled down, putting on their gas masks? Would that agitate the crowd in anticipation that something is about to happen, and perhaps that would start something like this?
Well, the people you're seeing in the front of the one that are they want to be agitated. They're looking for a confrontation. Like you've mentioned before, all they have to do is turn around and head west, and it'll be very peaceful. But they don't want to relinquish the ground, and they're taking level of response. They're going to show, okay, this keeps up, we may go to chemical agents. So the police officers have to be prepared for that. But I think the police are taking very measured response, step by step by step. You've got the LRAD announcing, keep moving back. And it's measured response. And all these guys have to do is just turn around, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, the issue becomes, the city had talked about, since this NATO summit was first announced, talked about what the rights of free speech are and how to manage that when you have a large crowd like this. And there have been several organized events that are permitted events. There were permits issued today for the gathering in Grant Park at Petrillo Bandshell. There was a permit issued for the walk that went from the north end of Grant Park down to south, down to Michigan and Cermak. There was a permit that allowed for this rally where the veterans wanted to turn in their medals. And all of those had time constraints placed on them. This permit allowed for the rally at Michigan and Cermak to end at 4 o'clock. It went beyond that, and police made no effort to shut it down when it went beyond that. Once it reached the point that it was clearly over, the veterans had done their ceremony, the veterans had thanked the audience, and the veterans themselves had asked everyone to leave peacefully. And then when no one did, the police announcements began, and there was some significant period of time beyond that before any of this started.
Right.